mynews.studio.
In Beijing, the city's skyline still sits under a haze, but China has just drawn a very clear line on carbon emissions. The question now is, will other countries respond?
Today's date is 2025-10-12. China's climate policy is at a turning point, and this year is shaping up to have wider consequences for both markets and international climate talks. Let's unpack this a bit. China, still the world's largest greenhouse gas emitter, is about to release its first climate plan that covers all sectors and all greenhouse gases. So, can you tell us what's actually different this time?
For the first time, China is moving away from intensity-based targets, those used to let emissions keep rising as long as the economy grew. Now, we're talking about an absolute emissions cap, a hard limit, not just a rate. And it's broader. It includes not just carbon dioxide, but all greenhouse gases like methane. President Xi confirmed this shift at the UN Climate Summit last month. Why does that matter?
Well, until now, China's targets allowed emissions to increase with economic growth, but an absolute cap means real, measurable reductions. But how exactly does China plan to enforce this, given the sheer size of its economy?
The main tool is the National Emissions Trading Scheme, or ETS. At the moment, it covers about 60% of China's CO2 emissions, mainly from power generation, steel, cement, and aluminum. That's over 3,500 companies, but next year, more sectors will join: petrochemicals, glass, copper, paper, and even aviation. So the carbon price is spreading across heavy industry. But what about methane and those other gases?
Right, methane's a big part of this. China's introduced sector-specific plans, like the Methane Emissions Control Action Plan that focuses on waste. They've set reduction targets for 2025. But as of today, the monitoring and enforcement for these non-CO2 gases still isn't fully developed. We're waiting for more details in the comprehensive plan due in November. How significant is monitoring and reporting here?
It's absolutely crucial. Without strong systems for monitoring, reporting, and verification, often called MRV, these targets are just numbers on a page. International experts are watching closely to see if China will lay out clear, transparent MRV rules for all sectors and all gases. What's at stake if they get the details right, or if they fall short?
If China gets this right, it could set a new standard for other big emitters. There'd be real pressure for others to raise their ambition. But if the plan's seen as weak, it could let other countries slow down too. So what are independent analysts saying? Does China's target line up with the Paris Agreement?
Here are the numbers. China is aiming for a 7 to 10% cut in emissions by 2035. That's meaningful progress for China, but the Paris Agreement's 1.5-degree target requires 20 to 30% cuts. So China's target is still below what scientists say is needed. But by setting a national cap and including all major gases, China is at least pushing the global baseline higher. Do you think this could shift the dynamics at upcoming climate talks?
It very well could. With COP30 around the corner, China's move adds pressure for other countries to improve their own pledges. And as China's ETS grows, plus its strong presence in wind, solar, and battery production, its standards could end up shaping global benchmarks. So what does this mean for clean technology markets worldwide?
China's clean energy sector already met its 2030 wind and solar targets, 6 years ahead of schedule. If the new plan pushes this momentum further, it could lower global costs and influence supply chains for renewables, batteries, and electric vehicles. But if the targets are too low, it could slow down tougher action elsewhere. So, the world isn't just watching what targets China sets, but also how these rules are carried out. What are the next steps?
The comprehensive plan is expected next month. The big questions now: will China provide strong, transparent monitoring? Will enforcement be serious, especially for methane and other non-CO2 gases? And will this spark more ambition worldwide or expose how far there is still to go? Ultimately, China's decisions could tip the scales for the planet's climate future.
We've covered China's new absolute emissions cap, the expansion of its carbon market, the focus on methane, and the potential effects on global policy and clean technology.
The world's largest emitter is changing the rules. Whether others keep up or try to outpace China will shape the climate for years to come.
Thanks for joining us for this discussion on China's climate crossroads.
Thank you for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Give it a try for free.